What's up, YouTube, friends and community, subs, and those who are just passing by? Hey man, I love this camera and how it does this negative view. But I'm gonna do a video real quick, and I guess the name of this video is Black Women versus Black Women. And in this video, I can't put it all in the title, but basically, I'm gonna talk about three things that black women need to stop. And I say what I say in hopes that we as a people can improve our conditions and in this particular scenario or whatever have you, improve our relationships. So often on the internet, we get swamped down in the interracial discussion, the natural hair versus weave or perm discussion, and the skin, dark skin, light skin garbage that we often overlook as a people. One of the biggest issues confronting us when it comes to dating. And I guess to some degree or another, you can call it a combination of insecurity and fucking uncontrolled nature. The choices often that some black women make. And one thing when it comes to men, most men, if not nearly all men, is that most men don't really pick, choose, and select which women they want to be with based on her education. Now, there's a difference between education and being intellectual. Many men do love and admire a woman who's intellectual, and who he can have, a stimulating conversation with, and, he will hope that there's some chemistry between him and her. But often a man doesn't look at a woman's education. And as I've said before previously in other videos I've done, I worked as a security guard from 2002 all the way up until like July or August of last year. Occasionally I go back to the New Orleans area and I do a little weekend gig. They probably pay me like $150 just for standing up, for 4 or 5 hours. You can't turn down that money. Couple days, $300. That's a lot of money just for standing up in a club, basically. And there's something that I've always noticed ever since I've done security work part-time, right? In a nightclub, I'm going to tell you something. When guys are kind of scanning over women and talking to women and trying to get with women, a woman's education nor her intellect really don't stick out. And there's no real way of actually having a decent conversation with her inside of a loud nightclub where there might be drinking and cigarette smoke all in the air. The main thing that sticks out to a woman, that sticks out to a man when he initially looks at a woman is how nice she looks and her body. Nature is not very fair, Some people are just, to the human eye, more appealing and better looking than other people. And if a female has nice breasts, if she has a very, very nice shape, big thighs, wide hips, a big fat badunkadunk butt, that's going to stick out before what college she went to kind of comes to a guy's head, And generally speaking, that tends to be the type of women that guys go for. Some women got that stallion frame. And often in relationships, it can be very, very frustrating. Because sometimes, you'll just go out, you and your girl may go to the mall, y'all may go out to eat or something. And often black women will be looking at other black women harder than you. Have you ever been in that situation where you walking with your girl through the mall or through the grocery store, and there's maybe 3 or 4 black women. One of them is, You know, she might have a natural short haircut and pretty brown skin. The other one might have a big butt and big breast. And the other one may just generally be very cute with some real nice legs in general. And she'll be looking you up in the face. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes they'll say something that's very annoying, like, you know, you want to talk to one of them. Or she'll just be looking you up in the face trying to check and see how hard you might or might not be looking at these women. And you might be like me, you know, do a real good job at not really looking at women when you're with the one that you're dating. For example, just a few weeks back, being this female who I'm kind of dating right now, we went to a restaurant to eat. And there was a female up in there who she was our waitress, but she really wasn't very attractive. But she had very nice breasts, very big breasts. And, you know, with the way that she wore her button up shirt that she was required to wear in that restaurant, it really magnified her breasts. You know, you could see the top of her cleavage. She had real big breasts and she was tall. But, you know, she wasn't that good looking in the face. And when she came over to the table to take our order, she was like, you know, are y'all ready to order yet? And the woman that I was with was sitting across the table giving me a solid, I mean an absolute solid look. Like, I know that you noticed her breasts. And I was just sitting there like, you know, well, yeah, I'm ready to order. Give me a shrimp étouffée. You know, we was at a restaurant in the French Quarter in New Orleans. And you know, it's just annoying when that happens because often, like I say, we might talk about white women and Hispanic women and all this madness. But at the end of the day, the biggest competitor that any black woman has is other black women. You know, damn all that white woman and Hispanic woman and Asian woman bullshit. Black women are made insecure, very insecure quite often by other black women. And there are just so many situations where when I have conversation with many sisters, I can see exactly how they got themselves into the situation that they did. For example, this same female, she's going through a child support issue right now with the father of her kids. She has a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old by this guy who's giving her very little to no support. He'll send her like $300 every 4 or 5 months. Maybe 3 times a year he'll send her $300. And needless to say, she's trying to get maybe $300 a month, you know, on time. And he doesn't really spend any time with his kids. Now me, I'm at the point to where I very, very rarely just say, okay, I understand some situations a guy doesn't necessarily fulfill his obligations as it comes to his child or his kids. But as I got into a conversation with her about her kid's father, I said, when did you meet him? And she was like, back in 2002. Better yet, 2004. And she said something to the effect of, he had a girlfriend at the time that I met him, but him and that girl didn't have any kids. But he had a child already by another woman who he was with a few years before he got with the girl that he was already with. And that the woman that he was with when she met him and her had issues because he wasn't taking care of his absolute oldest child. And I'm sitting up kind of thinking to myself, and I asked her quite a few times, exactly how do you expect a scenario to turn out whenever you're, number one, dating a guy who already has a girlfriend? Number two, dating a guy who's already proven himself to be a deadbeat. I'm like, he already had child support issues when you met him. And you went on to have 2 more children by the man. And she has a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old, and there was actually a 2-year gap where him and her broke up and got back together. And they had the other child, the 5-year-old, maybe like a year and a half or so after they got back together. I said, well, why did y'all break up the first time? And she said, because he was a hoe, because he was cheating on her with some Latin chick. And I'm like, damn. So a man who, number one, had a girlfriend already when you met him 10, 11 years ago. Number two, wasn't taking care of his absolute oldest child. Number three, got you pregnant, start cheating on you with a Latino chick, and then you came back and had baby number two with the same dude? How is it that so many sisters expect these type of situations to turn out positive? This madness has to stop. And the last thing that I'm going to say, and maybe it's just female nature, some things you truly can't argue against. But I was with a friend of mine, the same female who I went to the restaurant with. And we was at one of her close friends' her close friend has a 7-year-old, and he just recently he just turned 7. A month or so ago, a little less than a month ago, back in May, he turned 7. He was 6. And her friend she wanted all of us to come to his birthday party. And she asked me to barbecue. So we got there early, fired up the grill, started barbecuing. They put up all the little happy birthday balloons and decorations. They had them quite a few gifts. There was a bunch of kids there. And, a bunch of her friends, invited a lot of her coworkers and friends. It was a bunch of females, basically. There was only a handful of dudes. But they didn't bring soda. So the girl who I'm kind of seeing, she needed to go to the store to get a couple 12 packs of soda. And I was barbecuing, right? And she was like, she got her keys and stuff, and she asked me, was I ready to go? I'm like, ready to go where? She was like, I'm finna go to the store. We finna go to the store. I'm like, I'm barbecuing. I can't exactly go to the store right now. The meat might burn up. And she gave me that swift, hard, that black woman look like, nigga, don't be arguing with me in front of everybody. Let's go. And I'm like, I can't go. I'm barbecuing right now. And she kind of pulled me over to the side, said, come here real quick, because she didn't want to create no scene. She was like, you need to ride with me to the store. I'm like, why? She was like, because I'm not finna leave you here with all these women. And this is a woman who's 32 years old. Now, her friend who was throwing the party for her child, they're both the same age. They've been friends since they were 12 years old. They've been friends for 2 decades. And a lot of the other women, she knew them for years. But yet, you don't want me to stay. And this store was only, I mind you, 5 minutes away. It's going to take you 5 minutes to drive there, 5 or 6 minutes to pick up the soda, and then 5 or 6 minutes to drive back. You're going to be gone about 15 to 20 minutes. You don't trust me to stay here for 20 minutes? Unattended with your friends? And I'm sitting up thinking to myself, why do black women hang around other black women who they don't trust? And number one, I felt like it was kind of disrespectful, because why would you even be dating me or trying to get something going with me if you don't even trust me to be there for 20 minutes? And this, around her friends. And it so utterly exposes the nature and the way that they become single mothers. You're dating men who you believe have, I guess you can call it, primal urges, or no control over their primal urges. And I'm going to just say, from black man to black woman, that has to stop. A relationship is built on trust. And if you can't trust a man to really be a civil, decent, honest enough person, a human being, to control his desires, then, what in the living hell are you dating him for? You're not even dating a man. You're dating an animal who just goes with nature as it calls him forward or whatever. But so often the case, or the problem in black relationships, is not white women. Hispanic women, or all these, various dumb topics we spend so much time talking about. Often, the real true enemy of black women is other black women. And it is, it's frustrating to be with a woman or try to be with a woman who's insecure. A woman who you go out with and she's looking at other women harder than you because she's so gauging the competition and worried that you gonna jump the fence and maybe try to holler at another woman or something. It's just frustrating. But that's something that we have to stop. We got to do better. We got to improve our relationships, our communication, but more than anything, our trust. Because if you and that person have the right amount of chemistry, and if the love that y'all have is real, then you don't have to worry about any random woman off the streets, and most definitely not a group of friends of which you've known at least 2 decades to go behind your back and do something. Okay? Let's do better, black people. It's your boy Vince Rashad. Peace.